In today's video, we're going to be taking a look here at the upcoming pattern, taking a look at multiple cold fronts that are expected to come through, and models are sort of doubling down on a colder overall pattern that is expected to take over. And this is going to be starting with some smaller cold fronts, bringing seasonal to slightly unseasonable cold, and then it's going to turn into really unseasonable cold later on. So we're going to be watching for this, and probably the most promising thing, the most good thing in this video is that the models are really turning a page on the drier pattern that we've seen in the east, and they are elevating the amount of precipitation that we are expecting. So that is incredible news. We've obviously, if you've been watching the videos, been waiting for a higher precipitation pattern in a lot of these drier areas like the Northeast. Some of the deep south locations as well have been very dry, and it looks like there's going to be a big uptick for these areas, which is a really good thing. Two things out here: we have a couple of tropical areas to watch. One down there in the southern Caribbean, and then one up here way north of Bermuda. And if we look at the percentages here, this one in the north has a 10% chance of development across the board, so over the next 2 and 7 days, giving it a really low chance of development, but still a chance nevertheless. This one in the southern Caribbean is a little bit more interesting. 0% chance over the next 2 days, which I've always said this means that this is a long-term threat, sort of. So you're thinking more in the 5, 6, 7 day range, maybe even beyond. And in the 7-day range, so 3 to 7 day range, we have a 30% chance of development. So that's a little bit closer to maybe a medium risk, but it still has a ways to go. We'll be watching. I'm always suspect of these very far southern threats in the Caribbean. This is a actually relatively dry area, especially the further south, close to South America that you go. And typically, tropical systems do struggle in this area, so I'm a little skeptical, but it's going to be interesting to track. It's not every day that you see this as our initial development area, so it's going to be actually fun to kind of get to see how everything kind of comes together. But I'm again suspect of kind of both of these for chances of development. Now, I do want to turn our focus to just the overall lower 48, so this is going to apply to those of you that aren't in coastal locations, and we can see a lot of activity. We have a low up here over northern Minnesota, some secondary kind of broad low pressure down here to the south. This model is kind of picking up on multiple fronts going on. Really interesting. This low here has this cold front extending back, which we can see quite a bit of precipitation in for states like Wyoming, South Dakota, Nebraska, and even into Minnesota. And then we have this kind of stationary front, hardly advancing, and typically in these we see what we're seeing here, which is instead of like this one, we see this precipitation is kind of flowing from west to east. This one is stationary, so you end up getting the precipitation just moving northward along the front. So this is a very different setup. It's worth noting that in this area there's a lot of cooler, dry air behind the front, and there is a lot of moisture and warmth kind of moving to the north out ahead of it, and that's why we're getting a lot of instability and actually pretty bad thunderstorms along this for Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, and even into Arkansas. We even, as of now, have a mesoscale discussion, which isn't quite like a watch. It's more so them putting out there that they're thinking about issuing a watch. But if we look at the kind of fine print here, probability of a watch is 80%. So this is actually really elevated, and there's a good chance we're going to get a severe watch in there. Up to the north, flash flood discussion, heavy rainfall, flash flood possible. Looks like we're getting a lot of heavy downpours in this northern quadrant, more so for Missouri and northeastern Oklahoma. Looking up to the north, we do have showery activity here across Michigan, Indiana, Illinois. A few passing showers in the northeast. Back west, again, we have these showers ongoing. Maybe some high elevation snowfall for portions of Wyoming and Colorado there. Very light, though. And then we see in the Pacific Northwest more activity ongoing in this area as well. But if we look off to the west, we do have obviously some low pressure and some frontal boundaries about to move on shore. So the storminess out here is about to get worse. With all that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at our model guidance and see what we're looking at moving forward. So on a similar note, we're going to just look at the storminess. Let's take a look here at Saturday, October 18th, later on today, actually. Sometimes I get my days mixed up. As we take a look here, that frontal boundary is going to develop into some heavier precipitation. We can clearly see that we're in a warmer pattern up there for the west. Trough here behind that cold front, and then more of a ridge here in the east. And it's funny, we're in a ridge in the east, but we're moving so deep into the fall now that even when we're in a ridge, I mean, it's 65 out here in Virginia at 11:43 a.m. when I'm recording this. So it's not like super hot or super warm when we're seeing these ridges. It's just like closer to room temperature for most areas. I know obviously in the deeper south, we're quite a bit warmer and even hotter for those areas, but even in the middle regions here of the east, we do see fall-like temperatures. It's just a little warmer than what's typically expected. As we move towards Sunday, we can see that stationary front is eventually going to break free and become more of a cold front. We get a stronger low up here just to the north of Michigan, which is a classic area to bring cooler temperatures in. We see this is moving quickly. Severe weather is going to be possible along this line as well. Stronger winds and definitely heavy rainfall. And that's going to extend into Sunday night for a lot of the East Coast. So keep that in mind, guys, along the East Coast. This is coming kind of overnight, Sunday into Monday. The Northwest seeing more activity here by Sunday, tomorrow as well. Snowfall in the high elevations, rainfall in the lower, as they just continue to see a very wet fall here. Moving towards, again, this is like 5 a.m. Monday. So again, overnight, we do see a lot of this activity reaching into portions of the Mid-Atlantic, and it's really past the southeast by this point. The only area that's yet to see it and is going to have to wait kind of a little bit towards Monday afternoon is going to be the Northeast here, where we do see a secondary low developing there over New York State. We see a lot of precipitation. They really need it. So this is overall just really good news. Something that is shifting in the upcoming pattern is really this look of a warmer air mass that wants to just stay kind of. It's really persistent over the west, and that's going to continue to bring small, medium, and large cooldowns into the east. But the main thing this is going to dictate is that they are aimed at the east, no matter the intensity. So keep that in mind. We do have some overall just kind of dreary weather in the north central states by this point. Cool, drizzly, overall just kind of dreary. I guess that's a perfect way to put it. I want to keep going towards Tuesday here on the 21st. This is kind of classic stuff here. Ridge in the west, trough into the central states, and that jet stream is moving northward over those eastern states, but now we're seeing that dreary weather a little further to the east. This low centered over the UP of Michigan. Lots of rainy, kind of cold conditions up there in the Midwest and Great Lakes, persisting into Tuesday the 21st. Here's Monday the 22nd, and we see this low mostly over the northeast by this point. Now the trough is over the east as well, so mostly the east is cold by mid next week. This is really turning out to be a much bigger cool down than we originally anticipated. Thursday the 23rd, it's still around, so it's slow moving, which is usually a factor, again, when we have this warmer air in the west. That kind of locks us into where this cooler air is really staying stagnant there over the east. Friday, it finally starts to lift off. Again, I always tell you guys to watch the red lines because we are ridging mostly over the west and still troughing over the east. It's just a much softer trough by this point. Or trough, I should say. I added a T in there for some reason at the end. But we do see that this is overall a cooler pattern in the east compared to the west. It's just not quite as intense as before. The northwest, stormy. Kind of, again, classic for what we've been seeing here. Another round of storms for the south central and kind of middle central states. This is good news. Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, into Mississippi, Alabama. It's kind of the main area of concern for low amounts of precipitation as of the last few months, so they definitely need to catch up a little bit. So it's good to see them getting another storm system here not too far out. As we keep going, we're going to just extend this towards Saturday the 25th. We see another major storm there for the west here. Heavy precipitation, some high elevation snowfall. Although we have warmed a little bit, I'm sure the very high elevations are still seeing snowfall, but it's not as expansive into the more medium elevations anymore because of that warmer air that is around. We continue to see some deep south precipitation, which again, I love to see. Moving towards Sunday, that deep south precipitation is still there, and we do cool over the northwest, so now we're getting, again, those medium elevation areas seeing snowfall as well. And look at the amount of lows that we have all over the place. 992 in Colorado, 1,004 over California, 1,006 there over Washington, and a 986 over southern Canada. 4 lows around, so just really broad low pressure is what we would call that. and we just have storminess all around as a result of this. We've moved into a trough in the west, ridge in the central, and then like smaller trough in the east pattern here for next weekend. But we're going to see this all kind of move eastward, and it all starts with this very major low between Minnesota and Canada. Cold front right there, high precipitation again. Warm front is bowing way to the north, so we see very mild air across the deep south, Midwest, Great Lakes, and even into areas of Canada between the Hudson Bay and Great Lakes. These areas are very mild. We do see these red lines quickly moving southward over the East Coast. So this is going to be another situation where it looks like the East Coast is much, much cooler than areas just a bit further inland. Here, this is around 10 days out, so take it with a grain of salt. But this looks like another cold front that would bring lots of precipitation, thunderstorms, and even potential for severe weather. Continuing to see snowfall over the Rockies and Cascades there as well. Let's take this towards Tuesday afternoon as everything just kind of continues eastward. We see everything kind of coming together here. Ridge building again for the west. This is the very beginning of it, and that's what's going to really help to push this colder air eastward. And along that boundary between this colder air moving eastward and the warmer air rising up, develops a really high precipitation cold front where there should still be thunderstorm and severe weather threats. Even though we're in late October. Look at how far south that is diving, guys. This is a major, major trough. Wednesday the 29th, we see this ridge out west is building way to the north, which is going to help this cold to build way to the south, kind of like yin-yang. It's just reactionary to what's happening out west. And the continuation eastward does stall out a bit. We see a lot of storminess developing in the east because of this, but we don't get quite as big of a cool down for the East Coast here. Mostly the central states with that deep diving trough, but still end up with a very major low over the Great Lakes. Lots of rainfall around and overall cooler weather. It's just not like a severe, super severe cool down. This is a major cool down, don't get me wrong, for the entire East, but it's not as severe as it was for a moment there where it was diving southward to the Gulf and everything. Looking at the total precipitation, again, much improved. We still see the Northwest really flourishing, but look at the East. Basically everywhere east of the plains here is just way more than we were seeing just a couple of days ago. There's not really any dry spots in there either. So this is awesome for the deep south, northeast, pretty much everywhere, getting tons over the next 2 weeks. Hope it stays that way. The anomalies, again, way above average in the Northwest, way above average here in the East. This is just tremendous news. And it's not enough to fully make up for the amount that we missed out on in some areas, but it is a huge step in the right direction, and for some areas might even get them there back to average on the year. We'll see what happens. Total snowfall, obviously there's a few things you should ignore, like snow in Arkansas, maybe flurries in Wisconsin I could see. But outside of that, mostly just the mountainous west seeing snowfall, which is obviously very realistic, especially in those bigger cooldowns and storms that we're seeing at times. This is definitely a good possibility. Temperatures, we're cooler along the east right now. That ridge is building. We get another trough moving in here just a couple of days from now on Wednesday the 20th. That lasts towards Tuesday. We get another one coming in on Wednesday, just the day after. So really quick with seeing these move in. And now Thursday the 23rd is still around, and for Friday the 24th it's still around as well. And then we warm back up for a couple of days before we get this cooler air mass moving into the east again. A much more major one in this instance for the end of October into the beginning of November. The GFS is going to agree. Again, cool down number 1, 2, kind of 3 there, a little bit more of a backdoor type cold front. And then we get a major cool down for the first couple of days of November. Very similar to the European model, but this is much more intense. I mean, look at this look, guys. This is crazy. Really warm over the west, really cool in the east. This is just classic. And it is at the end of the model run, but it seems like the models have been really descending us into something like this. So we do have some recent trends to support this. So time will tell. We're going to be watching this closely. But this seems to be the idea that all the models have, and definitely the data and all of the current conditions around the world would pretty much support this as well. So I'm going to be curious to see what happens. Be sure to subscribe. We upload every single day. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.